Which makes them threefold.
Okey dokey.
I can't tell.
All right. We're gonna call the Central Board of Architectural Review meeting of June 9th, 2023 to order. Do we have any members of the public who wish to address the board regarding an item that is not on today's agenda? Nobody here in person, anybody online?
We do not have anybody on leave.
Okay, then the status report.
So we do have two items that are going to be.
I'm gonna close the room, or just leave it, so people here can see the, yeah. I was gonna do that at informational briefings. So thanks. Okay.
We do have two items on the agenda that will be continued to further notice. One will be continued to July. That's going to be item number 1. Which is the John Sebastiano Winery, 22 BAR 178. And item number 4, which is 22 BAR 104, the Efron USFD.
Okay. I would so move. For a second.
Second.
Well, because, well, as soon as I introduced him, yeah, well, everybody is, except for you two, you're alternates, so you're not voting today, so we got a full board at the moment.
Oh, so we don't have to be here?
Not true, because what's gonna happen is we're gonna lose 2 people, and then both of you are gonna vote.
Good try. What's in one district vote?
Personally, not much, the public might have something to say. That was a nice cross-eyed look, thank you.
That's good.
Okay, any further discussion?
No, man.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? All right, let's do informational briefing about our orders. So everybody knows, this is Christopher Lapp, he's our newest member, he's a full board member. He's joining us.
Welcome.
I got sworn in yesterday, so. Anybody else
Have you?
have anything to say?
No.
Welcome.
Yes.
Not yet.
Okay, let's go back to the minutes. Nicole, do you want to share your screen, or is it, that shouldn't be required? Anybody have any comments on the minutes? I got I had no comments on the minutes. Anybody else had any comments? And while you're there, you might want to put just the one line next to the screen. That works.
I'll make a motion for approval.
Are you here?
Okay, well.
You were. I just wanted to make sure. Okay, there's a motion. I'll second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I think Christopher and Robin both abstain. Oh, okay. Just go back. I'm right, I'm the wrong one.
Did I lag? Why do we keep hearing that?
There's somebody next door talking.
No, it's this.
Hello?
Are we here in the office?
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah, so those, maybe those little speakers.
Maybe the speakers are on. Who is that ladder you have on the street?
Community protector.
Ooh, that one.
Thinking, yeah.
It doesn't look like it's on.
Who's it about?
Still speakers.
Hold on.
Oh, it is a lag in the recording because Bethany said hello and then.
It just said hello. Yes, it's a lag.
Coming out of here.
Yeah, it's looping through and lagging.
That has a goal for volume.
Yeah.
Turn off the volume.
I don't want-
I'm sorry, but got all the stress. Jeez. I stand in my office chair all the time. Did that work? Yeah. Hey, perfect. Call everybody.
Thank you.
Can you guys hear me? This is Nicole.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, remember recusals?
I have to recuse myself from both items.
The rest of the agenda.
The rest of the agenda, yes.
I have to
As
as
well.
well.
Okay. Item number 2, 3, and 5, or, yeah. Yeah. Staff update. Chris can take up if you want. You can say your staff update.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, so there's one item on the projection report that I think you might be interested in. It's coming to the county PC on July 12th, 2023. And it's the appeal of the Roundup Road entrance gate. This is an appeal of the land use permit approval, not of the BAR approval. But if you recall, this is the entry gate with the blue tile
Yeah.
that came through. And the appeal, one of the appeal issues indicates that they believe the CBAR comments were not met. Other appeal issues are that they think the gate posts are too tall, that it wasn't reviewed by Public Works, that it might be on prime soil. They believe it's out of scale. So those are the assertions in the appeal. And then just with regard to the CBAR comments, my understanding is that the CBAR comments were actually addressed despite the assertion in the appeal, but that's all going to be discussed and considered at the County Planning Commission on July 12th.
That's an interesting appeal. They're saying our comments were met. We said they were, obviously, because we approved it. And
Yeah.
yet not appealing our action.
Right, yeah, so I'm not quite sure what happened there. I think, maybe part of it is that no outlet sign is required to be removed prior to issuance of the land use permit. So it's there, but needs to be removed. But the tile was treated as had been discussed to reduce reflectivity and etc. So that is all I have for today, but I thought that one would be of interest to you.
Yes, thank you, Nicole.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 1 was continued earlier. So let's go to item number 2, 23 bar 44 Ballard Ranch LLC, new single family dwelling and accessory structures. All right, are you folks here for that or attendance? No big deal. I will go ahead and get your drawings up. On the screen. See you later.
Something I said?
Yes.
Just recuse yourself.
Just recuse yourself. Oh, that's gonna be fun. And just get them all up there. Okay. If you can bear with me a second, I think I'm gonna go ahead and open up the number 3, because it's the same project, so that, if you need to, you can refer back. Yeah. We'll just go ahead and get that started there. All right, okay. Yeah. I got the right one? Yes, I do. Okay, which one do you want to start
Probably the residence is okay. First.
Is this
You
the
can see that,
Oh, you mean what picture of the,
with? Because there's this,
probably a good start,
Mesa.
yeah. Shall I go up here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So you're gonna make a presentation. I don't think the planner needs to say anything. Nobody's yelling at me, so, we'll go ahead and have you make a presentation. We'll ask any questions that we have for clarification. We'll go to public comment, then, we'll usually come right back to the board for our comments after that. So,
That's good. My name is Stephen Peterson. I'm with Flowers and Associates. We're representing. Good morning. My name is Stephen Peterson. I'm with Flowers and Associates out of Santa Barbara. We're the consultants representing the property owner, Ballard Ranch LLC and Solomon REA on these 2 projects today. We've got the single family dwelling first, and then we're gonna look at the winery later. This is located on the Ballard Ranch, which is,
do you have a vicinity map?
don't think in that package there's a vicinity map.
if it's the next time over.
There we go. Down in the corner. Oh, they're not, it's being very slow today. There we go.
So the Ballard Ranch is 125 acres in total. It's 3 separate parcels. We got 2 parcels that are directly on Highway 246. Those are 50 acres each. The Ridge Farm Horse Ranch has been historically. And you got 1 parcel up on the mesa behind, which is the parcel in question for the single family dwelling. So 125 acres in total. And it has historically been a horse farm. Now it's under new ownership. And along with keeping the horse farm, they're also adding vineyards and a winery down below. And looking to add the main residence up on the mesa upper lot. So I'm the planner. Today, we've also got our architect, Patty Baker. She's gonna be on Zoom and she's gonna walk you through the details of the design. And we also have our landscape architect, Haley from Arcadia Studios, who talk about the landscaping with you. And mostly we're going to try to speak to the hillside and ridge line rules and how the project conforms with those. And we'll turn it over at this time to Patty Baker on the Zoom, then Kaylee will talk, and then I'll wrap it up at the end.
Okay.
Hi, good morning, board. Can you hear me okay? This is Patty. Okay, great. Yes, this is the Mesa residence. What you're looking at is the overall site plan of the proposed project. As you can see, there's a number of different structures. So there's a proposed main residence, proposed pool cabana, pool right next to it, and then the guest house. There's also a single family garage kind of tucked in behind, actually to the left, yeah, and a storage building as well as you come up the drive. Under separate permit is the ADU, which I think you were also just pointing to. Like Stephen said, we're just giving you an overall scope, but also talking more to the Ridgeline ordinance. If you'd like to look at that, this is the enlarged plan, grading plan, but we probably want to flip to the other drawings that are under the 0601, that one there. Yeah. We wanted to talk a little bit about the architecture this morning. This project was designed and developed as a true California ranch house with accessory structures. The desire was to blend and complement with the rural nature of the Santa Ynez Valley. Starting with the height, all the proposed buildings are 1 story. We wanted to provide a low scale, which blends them into the oak woodland beyond. And we'll see some visuals of that in a moment. If you want to flip to the 4th page of this. Sorry. Third, maybe the 3rd page. Sorry.
This
That one. Yep, page 4. So you can see this is the project from 240, a scene from 246, completely blending in with the oak woodland. The height of all the structures varies slightly, but they are they also step along the topography of the site from west to east. The pitch of the roofs are typically about 6.5 and 12. And the ridges vary between 17 and 18 feet 11. And the scale of the pitch and pitch of the roof is very much in harmony with the mountains and the terrain. Let's see, and then if you want to flip to the first sheet again. Thank you. Materials palette, again, developed to be in harmony and context with the oak woodland and the surrounding. So we have a green gray siding that we're proposing, a stain siding, a roof with a bonderized metal, which is a corrugated profile, but is very typical of ranch structures. The doors and windows are steel, dark bronze color, and then we have some stone elements with a variation of size and color of a kind of more of like a stacked rubble stone, and very much in context to the hills, the hillside colors. We also have some imagery. If you flip to page 5, there we go, just kind of showing the general direction or just some inspirational imagery of where the project design aesthetic is headed. There's another page down below. There we go, showing some of the materials as well. This is just a slide from above showing where the site is located, and then some other structures that are also been developed along the ridge here. So just showing the context of the site.
So just to be clear, in this picture, is this meant to be a photo simulation of this area?
It is, and it disappears so much that the slide before we actually zoomed in a little bit so you can actually see there's something there. It's actually a photo of the area, and then we modeled the house and placed it within the photo. So it's an actual photo of the site.
Okay.
I'm gonna let Kaylee jump in now. Kaylee, you there in person?
I am.
Good to see you, you're one of previous studio. Let's go to that rendered landscape. And the first one you had, there you go. To start with a little bit of the site planning, with the structures, kind of stepping down with the grade along the ridge line, we're able to tuck all of the vehicle circulation behind all the structures. So from, the Highway 246 side to south side viewing where, all headlights and vehicle circulation is hidden and tucked back behind all the structures and screening planting. The plant palette is, the main intent is to just settle it into the native landscape, so that, we're using meadow plantings and sages, oak, native, coast live oaks. There's like a distinct difference, between the, two parcels at the lower level and this mesa parcel. The two at the lower have sycamores and, valley oaks, and then this upper parcel has the coast live oaks, and so we wanted to make that distinction, raising the live oaks up there. We'll also have a few accent trees, probably logs tucked back into the rear pool area. But really just wanting to nestle it into this kind of native top landscape where there's the grassland, and then as the topography slopes to the northwest, it drops into a dense oak forest because it's kind of facing north there, and so allowing the tree density to come together over there as well in our landscape design. The materials will be in similar tones to our native sandstone. We use material repaving along the sandstone walls, and there will be a more refined stone pattern as shown on Patty's plan for up close to architecture, and then we'll get a little bit more natural and loose with the sandstone dry stone walls as we get further from the architecture, using gravel and chip seal, very natural materials. We have a little bit of a meadow to the east of the pool area, and the pool, although it has an infinity edge, doesn't have a large wall that will be viewed. Have to look, I think it's only like a 2.5 foot fall of water, so it's not a large retaining wall. We were able, with the stepping of the structures, we were able to avoid many retaining walls on the site. There's one shown currently on the master wing of the main house, and we're proposing to screen it, and we're as you massage the grade, we're only concept level right now, but we're hoping to minimize that under 4 feet and also screen it significantly. There's currently an ag road that goes through there that we can narrow up because it won't be as necessary now. Let's see. All of the spaces will be away from the structures, natural maintained meadows, and kind of this property is the upper property and the lower are kind of defined by the larger expanse of either grassland, meadows, or irrigated pastures, kind of what defines these properties, so kind of tie it in like that. That's it.
Moving back to the hillside and ridge line ordinance. Haley and Patty talked us through items 1 through 5, hillside ridge line ordinance. Leading number 6 and number 7 to me. Number 6 is grading shall be minimized. So I just wanted to take a look at the grading for a minute. We've got in the main plan set, sheet 5 is the grading sheet. Perfect. So the house is sitting half grade at the existing grade. So we've got 1,350 cubic yards of cut and 100 of fill. And the red shows you the cut here. So basically the house is sitting at grade to try to have it fit in and be as unobtrusive as possible. So when you have the house sitting at grade, you obviously have to dig the foundation down into the ground a few feet. So this is just that. Then about 1 foot of cut to prepare the space for the foundation, so the house can sit at grade, is what you're getting there. So we're attempting to minimize grading as much as possible. And then for the last part of Hillside Ridge Line, which is number 7, I'd like to show the tab up on top that says site utilization map. So I wanted to give you a sense of why we're putting the house in the spot that we are. Yeah, okay. So here's the parcel. The red areas are steep slopes that can't be built upon. And then you can see the green areas are the existing vineyard that's in place. It's productive vineyard, been there about 4 years. And the grapes will be processed.
Where's the house going?
The house is going.
Right here?
Yeah, the house is going right there, exactly.
Thank you.
So that's where the house is going, and then the white bubbled areas that you see are the 2 patches of oak woodland that are on the site. They're dense with trees and beautiful, so we couldn't be in there either. So we're left with a fairly small place to put the house. And of course, the selling point, the wonderful thing about this property is the view. It's up on Mesa there, and it looks out across the whole San Ynez River mountains behind it. And so the desire of the owner of the house is to maximize the view. So you either have 2 choices on doing that. You put the house more near the cliff edge, in which case it's within the Hillside Ridgeline ordinance that it needs to be made as low as possible. And as unobtrusive as possible, and that's the direction that we ended up going with. The other opportunity you could have with it would be something like that, where you see the entrance driveway coming down. Yeah, down where, yeah, around there would be your other spot that you could put it.
Or over
That
here.
would get you outside of the hillside and Ridgeline area. So you wouldn't need to make the house one level and as short as possible. You'd be able to go up to 35 feet there. Of course, you'd be back farther back from the ridge line, so to really get your view, you'd have to build the house 2 stories and up to 35 feet if you put it back there. And our feeling was, we played with it and looked at it, that the house was more obtrusive farther back at 2 stories than closer to the ridge line and low. So we did make a visualization. It's going to be one of those tabs across the top. On the top row of the tabs. Let's see.
It's that one,
That's
246.
This is if we did the 2-story version of the house pushed farther back off of the ridge. And our feeling was that this is a lot more visible and sticks out more than the low slung version for the edge. So that's what we're driving our design there. So, thank you very much for your attention and consideration, and happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Is this the same photograph as this one?
It is the same photograph.
You just zoomed in or cropped it slightly?
It might have, let's go back to the other one. We might have cropped it slightly. No, I think it's just cropped a little bit on the side, maybe. Same photo.
Yes.
Same angle with the.
And you're actually on Highway 246, that's the beautiful tree-lined section of the road there. You can't see up to the site because of the beautiful tree along
This
the
is your
road.
site, right? And
So, yeah, there's
246
246
down.
along the south, the tree line portion of it, so. When you're driving through, you can't see it, so to make these photos, we kind of went under the trees and a little bit onto the edge of the
got
property.
it, okay, this is the project. Before plans.
I have a question.
Yes,
Have you done a soil sample up on the ridge line? So where the soil starts?
We have done a soil testing, yeah, and it was adequate with the house there.
your architect, would you like to speak to these elevations at all? Walk us through any of the rest of this package before,
Happy to speak to them. Very similar aesthetic as the colored one, which we thought was more effective. These are, the sheet is the main residence. The upper elevation is from the north, so no one's actually really gonna see that because it's right behind the oak woodland. The second elevation is from the east side, also very kind of tucked into where you would see things from the site, within the site.
this is the master bedroom,
That is not, that's the entry.
that's the entry, okay,
Yes.
that's right, it's the east, not the west, sorry.
Yeah, I don't know if I can draw on the screen, but the master bedroom is here. Can you see
This
my,
one. Oh, okay. South,
that's the south. This is the kind of the main living space, which is also kind of, there's a beautiful oak tree out on the very edge of the mesa, which is kind of covering.
yep,
You can see that in the colored elevation. And then this is again, the master bedroom is here.
yep,
This is the west side.
okay,
The other buildings are smaller accessory buildings. This is the cabana on the left side of the sheet. Again, a lot of these
and
views.
it's attached via the roof?
It is attached, yeah, there's a kind of a covering between the two spaces, between the main house and the cabana. The other is the guest house, which is a little further to the east side of the property, across on the other side of the pool.
Yep,
So all very similar kind of ranch style aesthetic, California ranch style. These other two buildings are, more utilitarian. They're the garage and the storage building. The main elevations that would be visible as you enter, just the garage doors, and then some other views of the building, different sides, but very utilitarian structures.
okay,
Sections through the site just to show how the ridge lines work with the topography, how things are kind of stepping around. Probably more telling are the site sections, which are a few sheets down.
you don't have your hillside ridgeline projection shown on these, right? I'm not missing it?
I'm so sorry, but I'm having a hard time hearing you guys because there's echo.
I'm kind of mumbling.
Okay.
My question was, you don't have your hillside ridgeline projection shown on any of the elevations or the sections, correct?
So you're looking for a line that's just basically the existing grade shown up here.
Perfect, yes.
Okay. We don't, but we did go through and what we understood is you needed an elevation from each of these existing or grade levels. So
Well, it's very easy to show it graphically.
we're definitely tested it. We have the 3D model, so we've been definitely testing it, and everything's within the ridgeline height requirement, which for this project with the steepness of the roof, we were at 19 feet was the height limit.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
You can show that one, yeah.
Yeah.
I was just making sure I hadn't missed it.
So these are the site sections, a little more telling of how the topography works
Sure.
across the site.
Okay, can you tell me a little bit about, do you have a site section through the pool by chance?
We don't have a site section at the pool.
Okay, that's okay. I'm interested in, I think, it's, Eric? Kaylee talked about the fact that this wall differential is about 2.5 feet. And so I was just curious if the basin sticks out as well, or is it at grade?
Not much. I think we're gonna be able to either be a grade or just like a foot above grade, for grading, I keep it just a little bit above, but
Okay.
we're pretty close in there.
Okay, can I go to questions for the board? You guys are done? All right. Anybody have any other questions? Yes, Chris.
For all their buildings, 17.5 feet tall.
Yes,
Did you hear him? Christopher asked if all of the buildings were 17.5 feet tall.
the heights vary from 17 feet to 18 foot 11. So the reason they vary is just the width of the buildings. The ridge kind of jumps around a little bit from natural grade. So from the pad level, they're all about 17.5 though. So it's just really in that master bedroom that's the highest point, and that's to natural grade. So
Any other questions?
does that
Just,
answer?
yeah, I have one question for clarification on the amount of cut soil. So those are you saying that those calculations were for the basically remove and recompact for the foundations?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Stephanie, I do have a question.
yep.
It was concern over the light escape from the windows. I'm wondering about the eaves, how deep they are.
You want to speak to that, Patty?
If whoever's right in front of the microphone can repeat the question, that would be helpful.
I was wondering what the depth of the eaves are on the main residence.
Oh, they're currently 18 inches.
Patty, it was, the commissioner, the board member was concerned about light escape from the windows. It might be helpful if you point out where you have trellises that kind of beat in those eaves.
Sorry again, I don't know why there's so much echo in the room, but if somebody can.
It's a big room.
I'm just gonna point to where you have trellises to the outside of the architecture. So the dash lines there, and there are all deep in trellises to help with minimizing the light escape.
Oh, okay, you're asking about the trellis.
Is it a trellis or is that actually a covered roof that extends to the south?
It's actually a trellis. It's meant to just kind of lightly shade the south side of the building. Definitely not a roof.
Okay.
And how deep is that?
What's the depth on that, Patty?
It's about 6 feet,
I was gonna say 5.
5 or 6, yeah. It's just a metal frame structure with wood infill.
Okay, do we have any members of the public who wish to speak on this project?
We don't have any, anybody in attendance with their hand raised and nobody online either.
Okay, discussion? You want to start?
My computer was taking a long time to load yesterday.
This file is big.
And so I really looked at these plans, and I've been a planner and looked at plans for many years, and I was so impressed by these plans. They are so thorough and clear. And it was a pleasure to look at them, and I like them. And my only concern is the potential reflection from the light escape. And I think my questions were answered, and I don't think I have any concerns.
Lowell?
I don't have any comments at this time.
Alan?
No comment this time.
Chris?
My concern is about the soil and where the native soil begins. Sometimes the dig might have to go down further than it possibly might.
That is something that will probably come out as they get further into their project.
That's my only concern.
Nicole, are you able to hear everybody?
I can hear you. I couldn't quite hear the comment about the soils.
Okay. Chris has a concern about, I think you could wrap it up by saying, correct me if I'm wrong, he has a concern about what further soil investigation might do as far as how it would impact the buildings further down the road. Is that
Yeah,
accurate?
thank you.
And how much cut would have to happen.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
No, we just need to make everybody do somewhat when they talk, so they talk loudly. And I'm as guilty of it as anybody else. My question was concerned about the pool, which was really answered. We did get to look at the elevations. The only other concern that might come up here is, I think that given that 246 is a continuum, and so it changes as you travel along 246, you continually pass along it, and so my concern would primarily be any of that skylighting. So I think at some point, we're gonna have to have a site visit and we're gonna need to have story poles. And it sounds like everybody's pretty good about where, everything is, what the design is happening now. So I think we'll coordinate with what it would be a good idea. And I don't think we need to go above board, our crazy story poles. I think we just need a couple of places, just to prove the concept, basically. Because I think you're probably pretty good in the sense that what you're showing on this sheet the trees are pretty well in there.
Yeah, I can speak to why we chose this angle. All the other angles, the sycamores of the lower key parcels.
Yes.
Spirit trees.
You had to whistle around and find a spot. And that's fine, and I'm willing to kind of hold it in advance right now and go by and take a look myself and see what it looks like, but I just wanted to make you aware that we may request storage.
So with regard to that, Bethany, just because I drive that corridor many times, the speed limit's 55 miles an hour,
Oh, I know,
and
I do too, I drive it all the
with,
time,
the cedar trees there, just
I know, you can't see
you
much.
can't see anything, so I'm really not worried about light
Okay.
trespass, and I'm not really worried about seeing the structures there, because unless you stop, get out of the car and take that photo, you're not going to really
Okay,
see that.
everybody else,
I agree.
you agree, Alan, Robert? Yes. Okay, so we're good with that, and we'll probably won't need any,
Well, if you put story poles up, where are you gonna view it from?
yeah, well, you have to
Driving
be.
by at 55? It's not really, because you can't see it because of the trees, or if you get off, or if you go onto the property, you can see them, but does that make a difference to us? I don't, because the public
would to
really
me.
can't see it.
It would to me, because the cedars are there,
Yeah.
but this, well, discussion for another day about the
Yes.
cedars.
Whether they remain.
Yes, because they are definitely having issues at this point. Sadly, because I love it,
Yeah, exactly.
but, okay, all right, not many comments, so how we want to see them return for this project?
Preliminary for me.
Preliminary? So, sounds like, we'd like to see you come back for, preliminary.
Is it possible to do prelim and final at the same time, or?
I don't think we're comfortable with that, or they've said so. And nobody said so.
It's such a big project, I think. I'd like to see it preliminarily.
Which means we might be final on consent. I could see that. But,
I think after a site visit would be important.
was that?
A site visit would be important.
If you would like to make a site visit, you can go through the planner and, yes,
You'd be happy to.
they would be happy to have you. It's the question of, whether we do it full board, which makes it part of the hearing and we have to all traipse out there together.
Got it.
But you can make an independent site visit on your own, as long as the applicant is, and they said they're fine with it.
Okay, great.
So,
So with regard to them returning, are we talking about just the residents, not the,
we're talking about this project right
just
here.
number two, not
Yep.
number three?
We're not talking about three.
Okay.
So. Everything else we'll see what happens when we get to them.
Bethany, I don't think I quite got your comment about the pool earlier.
Oh, it's an infinity edge pool, Nicole, which means that, and I'm gonna be pedantic here, it means the water on one side just runs off and sheets down into a pool, a catch basin, if you will.
Mhm.
You can see it here on the
Yeah.
plan. So, that means that the pool is above, and it's how far does that fall when it falls into the basin? And Katie said it was about 2.5 feet. And I was asking how tall was the basin wall?
Right.
And she said 1 foot or less. So that's a total wall, which is what I was after, of about a maximum of 3.5 feet.
Okay. And was it a comment for the minutes?
I can say that we, let me think about it.
Okay.
I do make it a
I
comment.
think that will clarify those elevations in the next presentation.
Yeah. Yeah, so probably not.
Okay, thanks.
Mhm. Okay, so item number 3, 23 BAR 64, Ballard Ranch LLC Winery, which is on the same property. Let's see this. Go ahead and open up the rest of these. Okay, so I think those are the 3 sets. So we know where we are now. This is a property down into the west, right?
Yeah, would you like to zoom in on that? Study, the same now?
Oh, yes, it just takes me a bit. So this was the property we were just looking at,
That's right.
and then this is the one we're looking at now,
Sorry.
correct?
Yes, so the property that we're looking at now is 50 acres by itself. I think the 3 in total are 125 acres. And this parcel that we're looking at now, has never had any development on it. It's just been a horse farm, so other than some cows and stables. It's no structure on the property. And our intent is
This is
to.
it here, right?
Right there, yep, exactly. Beautiful piece of property, and we'd like to put a tier 2 winery there. The maximum square footage for a tier 2 winery is 20,000 square feet. So we've got this at about 19,900 square feet. And it includes a tasting room and what we're calling an event barn. Tier 2 winery allows 8 large special events per year, 150 people or less. And I'll let our architect speak to the design in more detail. We have a different architect on this project. Her name is Lashid Katuzian. She's on Zoom. And she'll walk you through the architecture. We also have a nice fly-through visualization to look at. And then for the landscape architecture, Kaylee Grubb, and again, we'll speak to that. I'll answer any questions after that. Thank you.
Hello there. Hi, can everybody hear me?
Yes,
Oh, perfect. My name is Victor Salas. It is my pleasure to be here alongside my colleague Mashik Katuzian. Both of us are representing Richard Mannion Architecture. We're thrilled for the opportunity to showcase our design for the Ballard Ranch Winery. And without further ado, I'd like to pass the floor to Mashid, who will dive into the details of our vision. Thank you.
Hi, board. This is Mashid Katuzian, and I'm presenting Tier 2 Winery at Ballard Ranch. So, as you know, the project is located in the city of, and the main access road is from 246 highway. The lot area is slightly over 48 acres, and the owner plans to build a Tier 2 winery with a production of roughly 30K cases per year. If you go to the architectural set, yes, that's the one. Okay, please go to the next pages, to the slides plan, page 3. Yes, thank you. So the winery is located approximately at the center of the lot, and with 1,255 feet distance from 246 highway. The visibility of the winery from public road considered minimal, although all the winery elevations are treated as a primary elevation. And we are designing a screening with landscape to ensure the character of the area is retained. The winery development structures consist of the winery itself, which is this one. The structure in the south is the winery structure, and the events barn, which is located further to the north. The winery is designed in a modern style, the modern ranch style, with board and batten exterior wood siding, with earth tones to allow the building to blend into the landscape. And if you go to the elevations, it's going to be the next pages. Yes, those are the elevations. And the 3D views on the page 11, you can see the, perfect. To break up the winery overall massing, 3 main wings are created: wine sales, fermentation, and barrel storage. And all the structures are connected with roof lines, and they seem to merge when viewed from distance. And this idea helped to arrange a perfect symmetry for the project. The central courtyard, if you go to the floor plan, I can show you the going up. Yes, thank you. The central courtyard is the heartbeat of the winery and acts as a central hub connecting the 3 main wings, and a signature outdoor fireplace designed to make a cozy outdoor sitting area in the courtyard. As I mentioned, there are 3 wings around the courtyard. The one that is located to the north is the wine sales wing. Yes, that's the one. And includes a wine bar in the center with a 30 feet ceiling height, a clerestory roof, exposed rafters, and wood-clad walls. This space opens to the courtyard on the south and has views to the north, and the event barn and the mountains beyond. And at both sides of this wine bar, at the left side, we have the library lounge, and to the right side, we have private tasting rooms, which they are open to the covered trellis, and also you can enjoy views to the mountains. And this wing is the first place that visitors enter upon arrival. The building that is located to the south of the courtyard is fermentation or production building. And this building is accessible from the south with the barn doors. And also we provided clerestory windows to have more natural light through the building. And massive barn doors slide open or close to reveal the production barn or to close it off. The other wing is the barrel storage, which is located to the west side of the courtyard and is accessible at both ends on the north and the south. The building itself designed in 3 sections, 2 goods storage at the north and south, and the barrel storage in the middle. There is an access from barrel hall to the office wing, just for the staff to have access to provide samples for the lab. And so I think we are going to the next building, which is Evans Barn.
You want to discuss these elevations any further, or are we done with them?
Okay.
There was a question, that wasn't a comment.
I'm sorry, can you please repeat again?
I didn't know if you had gone through the elevations completely to your satisfaction.
Yes, I'm. Do you want me to explain more about the elevations?
No.
Oh, okay.
Just
So
making sure I'm not flipping past you.
yeah. Okay, thank you. I'm going to explain about the Evans Barn, the other winery structure. Yes, that's the one. So this Evans Barn is also in the same modern ranch style as the winery, and is situated to the north of the winery. And it's pretty much the same style as the winery. And to integrate the structures into the area's contents, the exterior of buildings will feature with natural materials and earth tone finishes, including use of board and batten siding. And additionally, all painted materials will be non-reflective, as you can see in our material board. Yes. Those are the samples of the roof finishes and the exterior wood siding. Yes.
Okay, and to be specific, this is your winery, and then this is your barn, your vent barn.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
And all the exterior lighting will be low intensity and directed downward to prevent the visibility of lamps and related reflectors. So I think that was a general explanation of the projects, and I would be happy to answer if you have any questions.
Okay. Which is this your set here?
Yes, that's the architectural set.
She is mine at the end of yours, or I'm not sure how that.
Yeah, please jump in, Kelly, if you would like to add your land.
Loading, it's very nice of a day. I'm gonna guess you're at the end, because that's where the issues with mine.
Yes.
Is this the first one?
Yeah, I one sheet up and then I use that.
Okay, perfect. There we go.
So for you, how this nestles into the existing landscape, that's the existing main drive that is the side between the 2 parcels on the right side. And so to kind of organize the vehicular circulation, the main entrance will have a gateway, like midway on axis with the center of the winery. And so we've done the parking calculations. and adhere to those. Any overflow parking space will be to the north where we have irrigated pasture, we're in agriculture. So we're, trying to nestle this in without expanding too far into the agricultural envelope of the property. So, the development is completely surrounded by irrigated pasture. And within the regulations, we're able to show our flow to the north there. In the irrigated pasture. The crush pad circulate and bottling truck circulation is to the, south end of the winery. Nestled in with a screen of more of the sycamore trees. The sycamores on this property are actually, kind of a unnamed Platanus asperifolia variety. The arborist Bill Wack has tried to identify it as kind of a unique hybrid, I guess. So we're gonna do our best to match it, but they're closest to an sort of outlying tree, is what he told us. So that's what we'll be trying to replicate. And so screening the crust pad area with those, and then nestling in with more meadow plantings, anything that's not irrigated pasture to the outer extent of the development area is meadow with bunch grasses and sages mixed in. And then closer to the structures, we have some ceanothus and other flowering and shrubs. The interior courtyard will most likely have a little array of either fruitless olives or some other fruity trees. We can find 6 that match and some it may be kind of fun to find more interesting overhead canopy. So we're just but as we get further, we don't find what we was out there. We gravel with the surrounding color with the Cherokee paving. And to the north of the tasting room, that's the larger than patio space nestled in with more tree canopy. And then we kind of formalized an event lawn space that currently it works within the irrigation calculations. We can explore some turf alternatives, but it's gonna get a lot. It's most likely going to be turf in that area. And but we kind of carried it down to what works nestled within the architecture, and then it's nestled with the meadow planting either side. And for ADA accessibility, we'll probably have a little band of paving all the way around. And then again, like the plain trees and anchored with a couple of oaks at the end. And I believe that concludes my presentation. Oh, sorry, just with lighting, we have minimal lighting, but because it'll be circulating more than a residence, we do have path lighting throughout the fully shrouded, and then some down lighting in the main kind of spaces and the interior.
Okay, I was inferring that your downlighting is these little red guys.
Yes, so I put a little bit there and then a little bit on that north patio.
We did send to our planner, Francisco Vargas at County, a fly-through video. And I believe that was put in the box, so.
Okay, check.
Let's see if we have that.
I have open that. Oh, yeah. I'll have to share it. Hold on a second.
So maybe, as we look at the fly-through, maybe Mashid could talk about what we're looking at. Fly-through. There we go. Is Mashid in there or?
Yes, this is the reception building of the winery. It's located on the east side. And these are visitor parkings.
This would be the north side.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. Here we have the north wings, which is the wine sales. The wine tasting room, private tasting room, and the library are located in this wing.
There would be a row of trees in there, right, Kelly?
Yes,
Yep.
these are faces in the leaves. if they're shown.
It's okay, I just want to make sure I was oriented correctly.
This north,
This is the north side, yeah, and there would be a bunch of trees on either side of that lawn
Yeah,
panel.
we
Yeah.
plant big trees.
oh, right, yeah,
And taller metal plantings on this. side.
And then this is the west
that's west.
office.
Yeah. West side, the barrel storage and the office wing.
And just for clarity, on that west side, there's vineyards coming up, so you don't see that flag.
And the truck is on the south side.
Yes, correct. That's the 246 side. And then this is your courtyard.
Yeah. Courtyard,
Fireplace.
Yeah,
the signature fireplace and the courtyard.
so the access for the trucks is from the south.
Yeah, so we have kind of a bottling truck loop, so they don't cross over with the guests.
And the access from reception is on a ranch road.
Yeah, this is the ranch
Between the two
road right
parcels.
here in front,
Yeah,
Yes.
running north-south.
Yeah, and it's, yeah, there's an existing concrete road that's,
It's 20 feet wide, and it's
Yeah.
lined with sycamore trees.
currently.
Yeah.
Existing.
Hold on just a second, I'll take you back to the. So you come in off of 246 here where number 2 is, and it comes up here, and then somewhere in this area is where it turns around. This is where it's approximately located.
Yes.
Okay, so where do the trucks come in the same driveway?
yeah.
Any other questions?
When Rashid was giving her presentation, I didn't see how far back the winery is from 246, and I just wanted to clarify.
It's 1,255 feet from the distance between the winery and the highway.
And just visually, you see the line of paddocks,
Yeah.
the horses there,
Right.
it's just north of that and along that side,
Right.
so.
Right, thank you.
And then also, I couldn't really make my screen bigger without having it close out on me all the time, so I was wondering what the elevations were.
I'm sorry, can you please repeat?
Floor elevations or the ridge line or the roof line?
Roof line.
The maximum roof slope is 35 feet from the existing grade, and the roof slope is 8/12. And the site is pretty much flat, and there's not so much a slope in this area.
So, what are you planning to do, if anything, with the paddocks?
There is a secondary access road on the west, actually, yes, on the west side. Yes, that's the secondary access road. And instead of having the main access, we have a secondary access to the site as well.
The paddocks will stay except for in the center of the bottling truck loop. We'll probably still have one paddock there, but it just gets configured.
This one right here,
Yeah. If you, yeah. It shows a little bit on my.
okay? Everybody go down.
There will be 25 acres of vineyard on the parcel. And also some continuing horse pasture. And where other ag reserves are main agricultural use for that is kind of vineyard cultivation.
And the parcel to the east is currently in pasture, or is it in grapes?
The parcel to the east is mostly a horse breeding and boarding facility.
It's not the same owner?
It's the same owner.
It is, no, okay.
To the east has an existing barn, a lot of existing stables. It's also under ag preserve. Has its own ag preserve contract with the main ag use on that parcel being the horse breeding and boarding. With a smidge of vineyard, 8 or 10 acres of vineyard. The parcel that we're talking about here, the main ag uses a vineyard with 25 acres of grapes, and then just a small bit of horse facility.
Okay, so, right now, there's horse paddocks all along here and all along here. And Kelly's showing vineyard right up to it, or?
Would be converted to vineyard.
Is the question, are the paddocks remaining?
Yes, that was the question I asked.
Paddocks are remaining, yes.
So I think it's misrendered on my plan, I apologize.
It's okay,
Because the two vineyard rows shown to the left on mine, to be clipped off,
right,
and then, to the south, that vineyard starts one paddock down.
one paddock, then. Got it, and then this was the reconfigured paddock you were speaking of. Right,
Yeah, that's what you can figure paddock.
yeah, because there's, I think there's two here, so you'll wind up with one to, for each sort of the, yeah.
One more question.
Yes,
There's an extensive amount of glazing, and I was wondering if there was going to be any tinting.
The future you will be.
I'm sorry, can you please say that again?
Yes. There's an extensive amount of glazing, and I was wondering if you were planning on doing any tinting.
Actually, we are going to work with Title 24, and if we're gonna check all the glazing rating with them. So now we just provided for some buildings like the production building and the barrel storage, we just provided the lighting from the clerestory roof. So, but for the wine cell wing, we have more glazing. They are all steel doors and windows. And for the glazing rate, as I said, in the next phases, we are going to discuss with the other engineers to comply with Title 24 and yeah. Those are all steel door and windows. But I think we didn't provide any samples in our material list.
The south elevation, there's very little glazing.
yeah, there's very little, actually.
But it's kind of more the overall. And then the clear stories, of course, would not be.
Speak up, Robin.
The clear story glazing would not be tinted.
It depends. We have a wine consultant. We need to consult with them in the next phases to make sure that how much light can going through the production building. We might need to change a little bit based on their advices. But yes, they are all tinted.
Okay. Any other questions? Yep.
Is the chimney under the 35 feet or is that poking further?
It's just 3 feet above the maximum allowable height, which can be, I think, all the chimneys can be 3 feet higher above any highest roof line. Yeah.
And the other question was around the car parking lot, I noticed a lot of grass. Is that for the drawing or is that actually for the, in the landscape plan?
These are my.
I'm working on it. Keep safe. So it's in the other
There will
spot.
be lawn around the parking spaces. The overflow parking will be meadow that can be mown, irrigated pasture that can be mown for overflow parking on occasion. But the only mown maintained lawn panel will be between the.
Oh, right here.
Yeah, everything else will be meadow, like grasses, sages. I think,
Because in the video, it was super green.
yes, the remodeling, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Any public comment?
We don't have anybody in the public, but we can come online, and we do not have any public comment.
Okay, who wants to start? Rob, you want to start again?
Sure. Again, I was very impressed with the clarity of the plans. Very easy to read. I couldn't make them larger. I couldn't enlarge them, but it was a pleasure to look at them, and I'm quite impressed with it. I am concerned, as you can hear from, about the glazing. But other than that, and potentially I'm wondering about your well calculations with the lawn and the sycamore trees, but I'm hearing that they're within
Yeah.
that.
We'll get more. Sorry.
But otherwise, I think it's a very nice design and beautifully done.
Okay, well,
I think it's great. I really have no other comments on it. Looks great.
just so everybody knows, this will cross the threshold and require a site visit. But per our bylaw. So we will be making a site visit. We can discuss whether we want, staking or any kind of a story pole or anything like that, and we'll get closer to it. Alan,
I've got nothing to add. Good project.
Chris?
I guess my last question would be, is there a driveway between these buildings and the main house? You haven't talked about that.
The main house is up on the mesa, and the entire elevation is access off of Ballard Canyon Road. There is a ranch road that goes up the hill. That's,
So they're not combining this project?
no,
Okay. I'm good.
Okay. Nicole, could you hear all that?
Yes.
Okay, aside from the fact that, we'll be required to make a site visit, and I'll almost certainly want you to story pole that south edge elevation, and we'll probably ask you to stake the other buildings. Only my comments. I mean, everybody else has pretty much covered it. I know the well is gonna be your balancing. It's kind of like a little teeter-totter, and you gotta work at it, but it looks very well thought out, both architecture and landscape, and I actually have seen many wineries that have a whole lot more fenestration and glazing. So I actually like the fact that this one doesn't have a lot. I compliment you or commend you on your restraint. So thank you very much. And it's laid out very nicely. So, I'm gonna let Stephen come back, preliminary.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep, preliminary for this one too.
we'll do the site visit in advance of the clearer.
No, it will be during the meeting. It'll be scheduled at the very beginning of our meeting, most likely. So we'll go out before we come in here. And we'll do the meeting on site. We'll ask you to have a story pole plan available. It will be open to the public, just like today's hearing room, because it's full board. So we handle it just like that. We don't take any comments or any minutes on site. It's solely for information gathering. So we come out. We may ask you a question of clarification, but we're not giving you any feedback or anything like that. You don't have to make a big presentation. We just have to get everybody up onto the site. We do our thing. We come back here, we reconvene, we go through all our stuff at the beginning of the agenda. And then your item will most likely be, we usually handle site visit first.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right,
And this is my team.
all right, item number 4 was continued, so item number 5, Cima del Mundo LLC campground expansion. 23 bar 1.
Anthony, on this last one, it cut out a bit. Did you say return for preliminary?
Yes, ma'am,
Okay, thank you.
you're very welcome. So while I'm getting this, the Cima del Mundo project open. I'm going to ask, gonna do this a little out of, order. Kevin, I think you're here today.
Hi,
Robin,
Bethany.
are
Yes, I'm here.
you're just taking a break for a minute? All right. Kevin, why don't you just hold on? What I'm gonna do, just so everybody knows is, while I get the information up on the screen here, I'm gonna ask Kevin to give us quite a bit of background, and I will, go ahead and do a little bit of, an introduction, but then I'm gonna have Kevin really kind of fill us in on why this project is constrained and the way our review is constrained and due to the way that it's been processed and the impact on us. So Kevin, I'm just gonna ask you to wait for just a minute because Robin has stepped out for a second. But as soon as she's back in, I'm just gonna have you go ahead and fill us in on what's going on. And I can share your memo too while you're doing that. Okay. So. Memo. Okay. So. All right. You want me to start with your memo, Kevin?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, Robin's back, so take it away.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, my name is Kevin De Los Santos. I'm the assigned county planner for this project. To reiterate or to summarize what the CBAR memo speaks to is this project was submitted in 2010 by the applicant. It's an amendment to their existing conditional use permit to allow the relocation of approved campsites and replacement of support buildings in Area F. The project was reviewed and ultimately approved by the zoning administrator. The project is vested and the applicant is entitled to build out pursuant to their approved permits. The amendment, which was approved in 2010, was conditioned so that the project had to return for preliminary and final CBAR approval. So that's what this project is returning for, is preliminary and final approval by CBAR. The scope of review that CBAR should be reviewing for is materials, color, lighting, comments that were provided at the conceptual review in the 2010 conceptual review for the project. The size, bulk, and scale has been established, and they're entitled to build out to what was approved under that 2010 amendment. So, and also the proposed RV cabins are not considered structures. They're considered trailers under the coastal zoning ordinance definition. So that's pretty much a summary of the memo. I'm available for any questions or concerns. But again, just wanted to reiterate that the project was approved in 2010. So thank you.
Okay, so our previous comments were that, okay, there's two sets of comments. There's the one on the, from 2010, way back in the Ice Age, that talks about lighting and making more village-like feeling, break up the facade of the buildings by potentially breaking up the roof line and rotating buildings. Bike path delineation of the crossing is needed. Landscape restoration planning is critical. Make quantifiable adjustments that are permanent. Do not solely rely on the landscaping. Structures should be able to stand on their own merit. I have to say, Kevin, though, that even looking at these, I don't think that the BAR intended for the project to be, as you're saying, that approval of this area. So I think that's why our comments from the last time we saw it most recently, where we requested a site visit in Story Fold, we wanted to see the area, square footage of area, to be developed and boundaries of key source buffers with on-site signifiers. Work with the CBAR chair and P&D planner to obtain approval of Story Fold staking plan. And we wanted it to return conceptual and preliminary. And that was the reason, because I don't think in our minds at the time, and that would be me and Robin and Lowell, I don't think we considered this as set. However, that's not the situation that pertains, and it is set. So I think I'm going to rely heavily on, and this is for the applicant too, the comments that were there last time in 2010. And so I'm going to ask you to please make the presentation within that paradigm of the 2010 comments. And so if you could do that, and we'll may return to talk to Kevin. But I'd like to see what you guys have to present to us and show us the responses to those comments, and then we'll go through our normal process, which is to take public comment and then come back to the board for our comments. So let's go ahead. This is what I have. It's just this plan.
Hello, everybody. Nice to see you again. We were here, I think, 2 months ago, and so it's going to look very similar to that. My name is Mike Neiman. I'm with Stan Anderson here. We're working on the architectural and design side, and Derek back here from Arcadia, the landscape architect, so from all of us. Since it's materially very similar to what you saw last time, although I know that I see there's a new number too. So what we've done is we've reshuffled the deck a little bit to make it an easier presentation. So we're going to zone by zone, start with the linear slideshow.
Okay.
The other thing is we've had some time to put a couple of historic elements in here, just as a reminder, since it's not fresh. And you guys have been asking about some of the site conditions, historical, et cetera. So we put some of that information in here. We've also created a couple of renderings, also to help you visualize the building, since the prelim presentation is more flat elevations and things like that. So we took the opportunity and the time to create a couple of visuals for you so you can see the building. The other thing that's noteworthy is that because again, we were prepared for prelim, you're going to see also the amount of constraints that are on this property. You're going to see some advanced work on the civil landscape. There's been a lot that's going on here. There's a lot of constraints on this property, archaeological, visual, biological, etc. So what you're looking at here is the general area. You see Kyriel and the highway to the south. And to orient you, there's 3 main areas: area F1, F2, and F3. Today we're talking about area F1 on the upper coastal terrace and F2. These are the 2 relocation areas for the campsites. Area F3 down below, down there is an improved project and it's under construction that has some bike camping, and it's a back of house facility. So that's on the much lower. So that's previously approved and under construction. It's a barn building with cedar siding and a constructed non-reflective porch and roof starting to improve the street. Access to the properties are up the existing ranch road there. On either side of what you're looking at is pasture for animals and also agriculture. There's a farm here run by John Gibbons. So this is both programming and an agricultural program. There's sheep and goats and lambs that the kids love, and also that's an active agricultural program, and then there's a farm here as well. On the west hand side, you can just make out a dotted line where there's agricultural, and to the west of the pasture there. So that's a little bit of an orientation. I'll give you a little bit more to continue. So we added this in because there was questions about site sections and view studies and how sensitive the area is on the upper coastal terrace here. I think just a reminder on that there were 8 vantage points that were selected. The worst case scenarios and site, and the multiple sections were cut through these, so there were. I think that was 11 to 15 different studies done from the public right of way, including the surf rate. We got a section from the surfer's perspective. So there was an exhaustive study that was done when it comes to story poles and sections. So I don't want you to think that we were inquiring about that last time. We just wanted to. So if you go to the next one. And you'll see some of these sections in this presentation because they're still relevant. Nothing has changed since then. This gives you the agreed upon story pole sites. For that vantage point study, they're sort of valuing the whole area of landscape. And we also came up with a landscape story pole that showed the height of 21 and various other elements that would be in front for screening. So I was asked to not take you through all different pages of that, so because that's full side reading, which I think you've had access to. So if you go to the next one. These are the story poles that you do see them, they're under 20 feet. But there's no buildings that are 20 feet on the whole thing. This is just so you can see the story poles. I think somebody mentioned in the last one, the wall that pulls up behind 40-foot trees, and I can see them, and I think we can illustrate that in a couple of more photos. So again, story poles, various iterations of them, sort of all over. Okay, maybe the next one. This is just making you aware that the site's heavily disturbed. It was Texaco originally in an agricultural operations of Cap Ranch originally, so like crazy. So slope study, again, lots of constraints and lots of outreach also with stakeholders about siting and locating originally. So here are the 3 areas for this property. Again, we're looking at area F1 and F2. F1 was currently there's a well over 5,000 square foot, 25 plus foot high maintenance building there. So one of the comments that you mentioned was about a village-like setting, and so you can see that the building, you'll see what you see is that big, large building is broken into 3 smaller buildings. With the larger one down below having a broken roof line. The important thing is, there was a question that wasn't resolved back then about turning buildings, things like that, but having a gable end facing the highway really was not, it wasn't in the subordinate for the landscape, it didn't follow the slope of the line, so, we didn't want to put a 19-foot gable end facing the highway, so that's the configuration that you see. Area 2 over to the west is yurts, with a comfort station, that kind of camping, and then there's cabins for the east. Site plan showing the configuration, we're going to get into the buildings, but because this is a setting that requires heavily on the landscape, both for the guest experience and for the public experiencing as they go by, we're starting with the landscape plan. So I might let Eric come up and talk a little bit about this element.
Welcome, by the way. Thank you. Yeah, been on big one right out of the gate. And our drawings haven't changed since the last time we were here. The main idea is that we're using the tone that's already set by the Gaviota Coast of grass and cages, mixing with a few trees of various sizes here and there. And in this case, put the taller trees at the top and the lower trees, shorter trees mixed in between the units for privacy from the public right away and privacy between them. Lowell had a comment last time that he was a little worried that we were over landscaping in this particular case, which we're well aware of. We're not sure at what level the perfect balance is of too many trees and not enough trees, too much landscape, not enough landscape. But we do, the main goal is to not have the landscape look out of place on the hillside. I mean, we are keeping the photographs of trees that are already there. We do have that kind of oddity to deal with anyway, but we want to balance and do the right thing. In terms of the amenities, each unit has its own little For the purposes of this site, we do have a pool area that's configured out on the east end. There's a small, they're both two small pools, one maybe a pool like a spa. And we have a series of pathways that go to the units, and I think that's the general idea, what, below
What's
this.
this one?
Yeah.
And would you like it?
This is a good example, these are two separate, dwelling. Each of them has a small patio amenity area that would have a picnic bench and a fire pit, and then each of them would probably have some sort of a enclosed ring barrier structure, which also has privacy between the units, which you can kind of see in that indicated in that ground. If you go back the area below the site, for the original permit back in 2010, was intended to be some sort of interpretive landscape patch and garden. We've taken it to a little bit, we've laid out the paths now and decided that we would like to make it a sort of a coastal natural garden, reminiscent of not only the coastal Javier Garden, but possibly the Channel Island as well. And we also are, for the original plan, we're going to have some agricultural screening over to the west end.
What's going on with these black dots?
And that's the photo cards.
So you said you were gonna stay, you're gonna retain that. How are you retaining the ones that are obviously in conflict with?
So that was going to be to the road, but it would be lifting up the lower branches for viewing, obviously, but plans to.
Many as you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, any of the ones that are used for screening purposes would certainly stay. And what we want to be doing is restoring as much as we can on the natives for the habitat to create a whole corridor down below there. So native plants and sage and scrub. I think there's one of the things, just what Derek was mentioning is this is a big interpretive area, so we have 100 kids out here usually on the weekends doing a long hike, and so this interpretive garden, whether it's the ethnobotanical side, and it's also the endemic species and things like that. This is the one place, you know, where a lot of families and kids get to interact with this area, see the Channel Islands, be on the farm, and experience these things. And so the native habitat, rather than just plant and agriculture and things like that, there's great history here on the agricultural side, but some of that more native things wrap into this whole interpretive tour that happens on this hike. So that's why there's an interactive garden in that way. And works is great. So the red line is the section you're going to see next. This is, we're getting into the buildings now. So, and this is from 2010. This is probably a precursor to some of the things that you guys are looking for now, with regards to the blue line being struck through the building, which is essentially exactly the building that we're just looking at. And showing how to put a carcass, and even in the future, trees down below, there's going to be olives coming in that are going to eventually supplant that. But it sort of shows you also that you're never breaking the line behind, the opportunity for screening and what you're seeing and not seeing. In this one, it's illustrating the upper RV cabin up at the top there. You can just see that that one's clearly not in the beachhead from landscaping the building itself, from that vantage point. So if you keep going, this was just another historic one, maybe speaks again to Lowell having their story poles on behind those trees. You can see what's happening here. We're gonna underground the power lines, so. So everything, this road for the purpose is staying. And then there's also technical sections. For every vantage point times 3. Existing and improved topography. This is the layout of the main barn building, which you saw last time. This is got a little snack bar, food and beverage, lodge room, and then it's some assembly spaces for events and meetings and gatherings. This is a good area, the F2 is a group camp. And then this is a smaller camping area, that's available to anybody who's in the canyon or outside, so it's kind of an event barn, and you will be calling a locker room that has some food and beverage in there, and there's a catering kitchen in there. So the south side of the building, which is addressing the channel, is up there behind those trees and set back from the edge of top of slope, and all the activity cars and most of the glazing is on the north side facing away, so you can see an auto port on that north side, where there's a drop off. There's some parking here. We pushed a lot of the parking down to the south end of area F3, so we're trying to minimize cars being up there on the other thing, driving around, but their headlights are swinging around, it's all happening behind the building. You can see, to the point on one of the previous projects, there's I can't remember, it's 10 or 12 feet of canopy in front of this building, so there are some doors there that are glazed doors on the south side. But there's a dense trellis and even solid roof up to 10 or 12 feet from that. There's no first story windows on this. Let's see. So maybe go to the next one. So this is two buildings that were split and connected by a breezeway, and then the third building you can see on the left-hand side here, that was removed. So there's one gigantic structure that's there now, it's now three smaller structures. This is the mountainside.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. This is the mountainside showing like the drop off and the entrance. And the materials, are very simple and modest. The cedar siding and a corten roof, which is what is down below area F3, although it's a port and bathroom, it's a little more rustic looking. This one would just be, but cedar siding, and it would just gray out in weather. So the middle one there is the north side.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's the north side.
That
Right
was just looking at
That's what we're just
previous
looking at.
rendering.
Yeah.
And this is the one south side, right?
Correct.
So here you go, south side.
Outside, so, not fair to the landscape, obviously, but, we're trying to keep some Ukrainians employed for these things. So this is outside with the lodge building on the right and some of the event space on the left. It's just some seating underneath this canopy. Again, and it's pushed back from the edge, so much smaller than the building that's there now. It's a monitor barn structure where, again, trying to keep the windows just really where we want you to focus. So profile, there's that. This is the east side, so this is the side that addresses guests and campers as they walk in. That is visible from the public right away. Again, nothing, no windows up top or anything like that. One of the things to keep the building down to 19 feet, we're staying below the top, is that we're sort of pushing the building down so low, it's actually the same height as that single family home you just look at. It sort of just pushes everything down, so it's only 19 feet tall. This is the support structure, very simple. Storage back of house. No windows, grays out, layered in landscape, great state fences, things like that. So this one's just gonna go away.
This is your support structure and this is the big one.
Correct. Yeah, there's the two that are connected to the breezeway below, and that's the support structure up top. This is our point of lighting. I think it's important enough that all the lighting that you're seeing campsites, I'm not sure if Erica wanted to issue those or not, but everything you're gonna look at are really small. We're keeping all the lighting low, path lighting. At the time, and when the dark sky ordinance said everything here is definitely dark sky. And very small and very low. So it's really just safety for that matter. So this is an overall lighting plan, which is not super helpful because the trees and the lights all mixed together, but I did have our lighting designer consultant at the end do a blow up of the campsites, so you can kind of see more clearly how the path lights and how we're illuminating. Okay, let me. So I can revisit a little bit of the lighting later when we go to campsite here, because it'll be easier to see. And this is area to the your campsite, the group campsite, so I'll let Derek take it from here for a second.
This is to the west of that one, as you saw from the overall. So, from the left side, where the years are, King drops down to the main field. Project. The main capital. What you see here is an entry drive from the east. Be able to walk along or come up with a comfort station for the end of that driveway. Serve all the years. We created a layout where the majority of the years are in a concentric arrangement around a large fire pit area that be utilized in there. And then we also have another pool in this location. And again, it's landscape wise, it's the same thematic idea. Taller trees towards the back to create some rear kind of context against the hill, and then smaller trees around in between the years with other screening to provide sightseeing. Individual paths to each year. You can both grant it. Good. Again, same idea with amenities, although the yurts would have a larger deck available to them. Which you can see here, the yurt is the circular part, which would step down to probably a gravel or shale feeding area, the picnic bench and a small fire pit. And screening around it is probably denser than but we will get to the right now. But thank you very much.
There's not much noise buildings to look at over here. This red line is again the sort of worst case scenario section for one of the sections. So if you go to the next one, you can take a look at that. Peter's only 10 feet tall. There's a lot of screening in place even in the last 10 years. The building, which is on the far right in that lower section, is not visible from the public right of way in any way. Even without screening. The next one. This is from down closer to the bridge, so you're driving on the highway north. You can't really see it even in the 120 millimeter, but essentially that's where the location of the site is. And there's a saddle down in there, so that's where the building is in the saddle, the comfort station, and the yurts are up there. And in that, what you're seeing is over the top of the yurt. So a little more historic information. Some sections as well, yeah. It's kind of a postage stamp on this plan, but this is just restrooms and showers. That's all a comfort station is, so this is just a very simple shed, again, cedar siding, rusted metal roof. These windows would either be tinted or screened. They're there for fresh air more than anything. I think that's not visible to anyone in the public, but this is all of the lighting. If you want to dive into it, again, the trees and some of the landscape lighting are mixed up. So if you go to the next sheet, this might be a little easier to see, or maybe not. Where you see LX02A, LX02A, this is the zoom in of the light fixture. So really what you're looking at are little wooden posts with small light fixtures on them that are downlit and amber and tone. Is the only lights at the entry there are step lights, so they're just small step lights that are inset into the wood. So that's all the way down low too. I'm for zero lighting personally. We've always had flashlights on key shades for people to do that, but the safety is an issue when you're inviting people to these places. So we're trying to keep it as little as possible. So there's like 1, 2, 3 little path lights from the main road, a couple of step lights, and then one to get your key in the door, but everything is very low, so. And we're gonna continue as we move forward with, you know, trying to edit the lighting as much as possible, but. We understand. Thanks, there. I think that might conclude the architecture and landscape. Is there any more in there?
This is the last few slides and just this.
Erosion control. I always like to end on strong. On the most interesting, I'd say for last.
The sexy drawings, right?
Yeah, so this. So I think that's,
Okay,
that concludes.
do you have any questions?
Yes, on the yurts, how far off the ground are the decks that support the yurts?
Well, I think it's 30 inches max, but most of them are below that. There's a couple of areas where there's some slope where they're up, but we don't have any guardrails on them, so they're all going to be pretty low. So 21 inches maybe they're on this one. We've got it worked out.
So the back, basically the back of the deck is almost at grade and then it has.
Yes, exactly, yes.
You're following just.
That's right.
To
And
get out
then the
level.
cab, yeah, so the cabs and the ears, there's this nesting thing, so yeah, the back is basically at grade and then it comes up just slightly in front.
And then can you address the parking for the 3 different areas?
Yeah, so this area F2, yeah, you can put it on that one. This one, this works good enough. This is actually a self-park area. This was set up and approved to be a group camp area for a dozen yurts that shorter group camp type areas like this. So this one is actually self-park, so that way we can come up here and park itself. That area F1, there is some close-in parking, but it's. So there's some convenience parking up there, but this one is all parked at F3 down below. So there is, I think, 11 or 12 spots here.
Mhm.
So maybe during the week that might be self-park, but a lot of the time you might just get a shuttle up here. So you leave your car down below and not bring it up to the coastal terrace, and then you just get a shuttle up.
Okay,
So down below, there's,
Right.
you got this area, and
So-
there's a kiosk there.
thank you.
There's also the opportunity to park in the canyon because remember they're silent, they're basically also operated together. That was,
So what's the access between the canyon and here? then?
there's a hiking trail, a maintenance little access road, to the left, the area F2.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you're coming out of the Coyote out and going around. So there's pedestrian access, so the hiking that happens, and maintenance happens over there, and then everyone comes up to the canyon that way and walks east over the farm to the animals and things like that.
So you can pack in basically if you want.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a 5-minute hike, though, it's not really back.
I mean, depending on what you're carrying in.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. You walk in the park over there and just walk up.
And can you bring your own food in and, or do you have to buy it from them?
No, you can remove.
Any other questions? Yep, Robert.
I had to recuse myself for most of this project. And I was wondering, I realize that this is vested and we only have review of the materials, colors and lighting. And I was wondering, this isn't pertinent to CBAR, but does that vest you for a coastal development permit as well?
I'm gonna probably give that one to you, April, but I think it's a yes, but.
Yes, yeah, so as part of the county's approval of the conditional use permit amendment, there's coastal development permitted as part of that as well. And so both of those permits were vested. And as Mike indicated, one of the areas is already under construction with active grading and building permits.
Thank you.
Chris, any questions? Yep.
Typically, a color of the yurt is the canvas, correct? That they're there as well.
Yeah, these are, yes, these are that kind of dark taupe beige.
Will they stand out?
No, they're not meant to stand out.
But we don't have, we're not reviewing the roots, right?
Yeah, we are. That's
Yeah.
part of, we're doing F1 and F2, is that correct, or just
I don't
F1?
know if the yurts are reviewable or not, but
They're not a structure.
Right, they're looked at as trailers.
they're,
And kind of comment on the permanent structures? why the eaves weren't longer and were,
Well, we sat with Cal Fire on that one, and the eaves, this is a big wildland urban interface area, and so. Two things, one, to push the building down, the eaves made it, actually, this is a good one to stop on, because you can see the trellises are really more an extension of the eaves. So we want internal gutters, the eaves were a problem, so to push the building down, the eaves got it so that you couldn't. They're so low to keep the overhead of the night down. And I don't know if you're familiar with, Cedar Ranch, the work with William Turnbull, or any of those people. This is more in the spirit of that kind of architectural, sort of, agricultural rural style. So that's to keep, it's really keep the building head down. To have a seven, to walk out and pick a 7 foot eave, sure, you know. The back then and even now, was a big part of this too, was fire. That was one of the things that, and it's, you're gonna see us over the coming months, so that'll come back again too.
I just wanted, my personal feeling is to keep it addressable. And as low as possible, so I guess that's the trade-off, low.
Well, yeah, it's still restful. But it's low,
Good.
very low.
Okay, any other questions? Public comment?
Thank you.
We don't have anything.
We have a comment.
You have a comment?
Thanks.
We do want to put out a speaker slip over there. You can, give it to me after.
State your name, please. If you could limit the comments to, our purview, which has been explained exhaustively here at this point. Typically, we look at an asphalt scale, site plan, and some other things which are not a part of this discussion today. And so we're focusing more on the colors and materials and lighting and some of those effects. Permittable uses, traffic, all that kind of stuff. You're welcome to talk about it, but it's not our purview. So please use your 3 minutes to your advantage.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. My name is Doug Kern, Executive Director of the Gallaudet Coast Conservancy. We're dedicated to protecting the rural character and environmental integrity of the Gallaudet Coast for present and future generations. I just want to say thank you to the applicant for all the courtesy they've shown us over these months. We've been invited out, we've seen the site. We've been provided the views, the visualization study. We've had a chance to look at it. And we still have concerns. We've shared those concerns with the applicant. I'm gonna limit my overall concerns to just the visual ones for this study. What I'd like to say is this site in general is right smack in the middle of a rural setting. There's nothing around this that is visible except a home here, a barn, things like that. So this is going to be quite different overall. One of the things we noticed in the visual study is that and we've seen some of those things today, it's a bit challenging on those sight lines to really see it. And as I've been out to the site more than once, I've tried to imagine seeing those cabins there permanently and how they would look to people passing by, people hiking, all these various things. So it's a concern that this will be a very permanent thing on the coast from now on. We understand the applicant is entitled to various things. We want to make sure that it looks good for future generations. So my suggestion is, if at all possible, get out to the site yourself, see what it looks like, and imagine these permanent, effectively permanent cabins in these places. The story pole, if you can have that done, some sort of night lighting simulation, if that would be possible. This is a really dark area of the coast.
And any kind of lighting is really gonna show up. So we just encourage all those various things, and since question was raised about the CDP, I just have to mention that we would challenge whether it's truly vested. And that's for another venue, of course. That is, those are the nature of my comments. We encourage you since 2010, between 2010 and now, the Galliano Coast Plan has been put in place, which really speaks to the character of the coast. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Please grab a speaker slip.
I do, yeah, I filled it out. I'll bring it up.
Perfect.
Do you want me to bring it up now?
Sure, and we'll go ahead and call you,
Of course.
and we don't have to worry about it.
Thank you.
Just let her read your name and then you can.
Sure.
Is it Donna or?
Donna Senenberg.
Thank you.
Greetings all. Appreciate the opportunity to speak a few moments. Thank you again. I'm here, I'm a board member of the Gabby Coast Conservancy. I am here in no other capacity. I too have been on the property, thank the applicant and the team for a couple visits. I would just encourage all of you in the responsibility that you take in such a project to do a site visit. I don't know if you've all been here for 13 years, so you've walked the property and ground truth it and get the context of it. And if you haven't, I think it's of great import. The context vis-a-vis the view shed really cannot be determined, I think, for your consideration and deliberations unless you've been there. And stims are great. A lot of these are from 13 years ago. And I would encourage you to be there, to go there, to walk it, to see it, to drive it, so you can see visually from the highway what you may see, and you could see that with the report placement. So that's just my hope, is that you would consider carefully and want to ground truth this whole area, which is very, very special. So thank you. That's it.
Okay. Do you have anything, do you have anything you need to add based on the comments or?
Yeah, and just to respond to some of the public comments regarding the site visit and the story polls. You know, our understanding of the process is that those sorts of things are really important early on the process when both CBAR and planning and development are trying to determine appropriate siting and mass scope and scale. But that's all been done in this project. And we understand that some time has passed, and so we certainly want to accommodate, you know, information exchange for anything that the board members think is important, understanding the context in terms of materials and landscaping. But as far as, you know, sort of going back to the site visit and the sections and the story point that Mike just sort of, you know, brushed through to sort of give everybody a reminder of the work that has been done. We don't believe that it's pertinent at this part of the process, given where we're at with the vested and full entitled project.
Okay. Board comments? I can start.
Go ahead.
All right. So, given the very unusual nature of the vesting of this project and everything else, when staff approached me after the most recent time that this project came before us and we had the comments about the site visit, historic goals and everything else, staff came to me and said, look, this is vested, everything else. I said, then let's post the site visit. And because we don't really, we'd be out there without having really gotten the background that we've just gotten. And I said, so let's, and then we can revisit actually, no pun intended, whether we need to make a site visit. I felt, it's been a long time since I've been on the site, so I personally would make a visit. And without talking about the story poles, I think it's important for all of us. Alan and Chris have no background with the project. And mine is admittedly rusty. So, I think it would do us good to go out there. I think as far as story polling, I'm comfortable without them, but I'd want to see some staking so that I understood kind of where it was sitting on the land. I think that would go really fast to helping me say, okay, this is where it is, going from there.
Perhaps just one story pole would go overall, I think, in the main building.
I think you're gonna find that the photocarpus is gonna block it, but that's,
Fair enough.
you know, this is a discussion for all of us. And like I said, you know, that's speaking from my experience on the site, but, you know, I would want to know what everybody else feels about that. As far as the materials and everything else, I think you guys are smack on the right track. I like the materials. I would say that, not to resurrect nightmarish things from the past, but, even with, things that come kind of, you know, we all know what they kind of look like and everything, like a dirt, I mean, we know what that is. Those materials are still going to be, you need to show them. You need to have those as part of your material boards, and all the rest of it. And although the majority of the year is usually that canvas up, sometimes there's other, you know, there's panels and other things like that. So the side panels, you know, the non-roof portion of the year. So I think you got some information to fill in there for us, for me. And so I want to see that. As far as the plans, for example, I'm just gonna pull up your plan, Derek. This reads very well. It's fairly clear, but when we get to lighting, I have a hard time with the lighting plans, mostly given the line weight, and I have some similar issues with some of these plans, although I do appreciate the fact that you have a nice large font on your heights.
Yeah.
Because, oh my gosh, it's so hard to read these on the screen, and when you're zooming in and out and zooming in and out, it gets there. But, for example, anything you can do that instead of the text label, if you could, in some fashion, create some kind of a graphic for each of the lights, that would make it much easier to read. And just look at a glance, and I could tell a tree from a light fixture from whatever.
We agree.
I should have said that last time, because it kind of occurred to me last time. But I do feel very strongly that, the full board should make a site visit. So, if you guys could make your comments, and then we can maybe come back to the site visit at the end and kind of do that, or start with the site visit, and then everybody can make their individual comments, that'd be great. Robert?
Well, initially, I was thinking, this is the best of the project, size, bulk, scale. We have nothing to do with the cabins. Cabins is just the size, there's a color, other materials and lighting, and nothing to do with the yurts.
That is
And
correct.
That's Kevin.
so I don't know the relevance of a site visit. However, Doug Kern was talking about the visibility of the site. It is very visible. And so if a site visit would help us to understand the lighting, I find that relevant, but not staking of, maybe so you can see where the structures are, but
That's all I would want.
Okay, then I concur.
Okay. Did you have any other comments about the materials?
I feel the materials are very in keeping with the coastline and they're dark and there's recessor.
Lowell?
I think I agree with Robin. I think all we can do is assume that this is the best project in our eyes. So, and with the county says it is, that's the way we have to look at it. So I would agree with Robin and maybe the lighting would be the issue for me.
I agree. Chris? Okay. So, a site visit and then, if we could, now we need to discuss, do we want to do individual site visits or do you want to do it forward?
Well, from my standpoint, I'm gonna be gone next month and I'll be gone in August as well. So I would probably do my own site
Do your
visit.
site visit? Anybody else?
I'm gonna probably be gone.
Okay.
I would like to have a group, if we have a group, so that it can be explained to us. Because I think just driving by is not gonna, even if you have a plan, it's not really gonna be indicative of what you're saying.
Well, even if we did them individually or in groups of twos, those are the kinds of things that I think the applicant would be happy to accommodate us on our own individual one-on-one schedule.
Yeah. We've already staked the buildings, assuming that this may happen also first, and also the buildings are staked. To your point about a story pole on a large structure, there's a 26-foot tall building in that spot.
Okay.
So it probably does a much better job than the story pole, right? It's 6,000, so almost 5,500 square foot building, so
Yeah.
right there, so you can have that as a baseline.
Right.
And, individually, as we give GCC and other people an opportunity to tour them and explain it, to show everyone around, we can do that too. So I think, yeah. Okay,
So-
she's the boss.
So what's the
Question, what's
Yeah.
the total square feet of the buildings that are there now?
That are there
And
now.
what's the footprint of the buildings that are there now?
Not a good numbers person.
And how does it compare percentage wise to what you're proposing?
Yeah, 5,500 for the large building, there's there the maintenance shop, and then there's a canopy structure to the east. That's right around the same size. Exists. Yeah.
So percentage wise, what's the difference in percentage of square feet from what you have now to what you're proposing?
It's going down, yeah, I don't know, I'm not gonna check, 8%. I mean, in covered area, much less, because there's a big agricultural canopy there. That's a big steel structure, it's pretty tall too, 22 some feet, that's being removed completely. I don't know what the percentage is. There's a smaller footprint, shorter.
So you're removing square footage.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
a lot?
we're removing square footage, yeah.
So
The structure.
from the removal to the add, you know the difference between the removal and the add, or maybe you
We can follow up on that.
could
Yeah, we can give you.
give us that information. in the-
Yeah, it's probably in there.
Coming back.
We can give you the balance sheet on
Right.
the delta moving down.
Yeah,
Okay, so what I'm trying to wrap my head about again, I've never been there, so I have no intrinsic knowledge. The people that made the public comment, I'm sure you spoke to them before. What is their main concern? What is your main concern? I mean, I'm now when you understand that. I'm sorry I didn't do this when you were standing up there. What is your main concern if they're downsizing? What is the concern? And I'm trying to figure out how it affects us here in C-Bar.
yeah.
Doug Herman, the Aviator Conservancy. The concern is you have a development instead of an agricultural operation with lots of people going there. 22 semi-effectively permanent cabins now out in the view of the coast. That's a primary concern.
Alan, and just so you see these two white blobs up there? Those are the two. The one that runs horizontally is that's the enclosed structure, and then the vertical one is the canopy.
That's correct.
It might be advisable to let Alan know what the Gaviota guidelines are all about, and not just an overview, because I think that would be helpful, because you want to live there.
Well, there are 8 years.
My question basically, and this is question more for the board. What decision making do we have that has to do with the number of people that are gonna be there, or the number of trips?
None.
As far as I know, it sets up,
We can't consider that at all.
it's not something that I look at when I'm reviewing. I mean, I look at the impacts. The number of visits obviously drives parking and some site layout
Right,
issues and
right.
everything, but in this particular case,
That's my main question.
Right.
How do their concerns overlap with what our purview is?
at this time.
Right, I'm not putting you on the spot, but we have a very narrow view that we have to look through. And I'm trying not to widen it to something that has nothing to do with what we're supposed to be doing.
And I fully understand and respect those constraints. It's purely what I can ask you to look at is what is it going to look like? This development versus what it is now. Is it gonna? We understand there are entitlements. But how is that going to look when it goes? And that's really all you can do.
Okay, now my final question would be, based on the fact that there are entitlements,
Mhm.
and these are still enforceable even after a decade, correct?
Kevin has said so, yes.
Okay, I'm just reinforcing, do we really have the ability to change those? Are we being asked to change the entitlements, or must be the footprint?
No, you're talking with regards to the site visit?
Yeah,
Oh,
well, what I'm saying, if they're already entitled, why are we going to cite it? I mean, I'm just, not that I don't want to do it, just trying to figure out what we're going there to look at. What
I
decision-
personally would be going there to look at how to refamiliarize myself so that I understand how it sits on the site. And directly correlates, as Robin mentioned, it directly correlates to the lighting.
So what exactly is what was approved 10 years ago or 13 years ago, and what is the difference today in the plans?
There's no difference today.
So why are we looking at it at all?
That's my big.
Well, that's the big question.
My question basically is, what is it we're going to see that we're gonna be able to comment on that isn't going to pinch on the entitlement?
Other than we are asked to give the preliminary and the final at this
Correct.
point.
We have to take the
So
action.
we're just looking at the plans from 2010. And
That's my understanding. Essentially what we're looking at.
So I can reiterate,
Please.
I'm Beth Collins, I'm the land use attorney, and just to reread Kevin's memo here in the second paragraph, it says, as such, the size, bulk, and scale of the development has already been vested under the land use entitlement and review by CBAR of areas F1 and F2, that's why we're here today, should be focused on architectural details, materials, color, lighting, etc.
okay,
So it's architectural details, materials,
lighting.
colors, lighting.
So
So the question is, does a site plan or site visit?
going out there to a site visit, we're not gonna see any of that. That's the point I'm trying to get to.
Well, we may see portions of the project that are exposed to public view that would have some low voltage pathway lighting.
None of this project we're seeing here though. Isn't the project we did.
So they're asking us to look at the lighting. That's one of the things they're asking us to look at.
And that's why I'm saying, for me personally, I would do well to go out and look again.
Okay, since I'm there.
But it sounds like an
Yeah, I just-
individual.
I
is
just
the way
want
to
to know
go.
the scope of what we are
Absolutely.
charged with looking
Me
at.
too. I understand.
Then I have a suggestion,
Yes.
and since Lowell and I are both going to be gone, and I think even though, I don't know, I may be gone. Next week. I don't know yet, because what happens by these, but I would suggest we have we don't wait till next month. I would suggest we try to schedule something between next month, maybe in a couple of weeks, and I would suggest we go out as a group.
So we can really, we can't make any decisions out there, but it would be nice to bounce things off each other when we're there. At least it would help me out a lot. I mean, me going out there and looking at it, I mean, I have no idea what you guys are thinking about 10 years ago. Assuming you could remember what you were thinking about 10 years ago. Well, with that, but I would like to do it if it's possible. I mean, I don't think we need staff to go out with us, do we?
If we all go out, it has to be public and they get charged, it becomes a special meeting and they have to pay us our whole per diem. Yeah, I know it because
Okay. Never mind. Well, that's fine too. It would open the public, it's fine.
No, that wasn't his, yeah.
What staff member went? What staff member went to our last site visit? No one out there, like, where's Smart? There was no staff member. out there.
No, they wouldn't have to be staff, but it has to be noticed and all that other kind of stuff. It's not the fact that staff would be attending. It's the fact that they get charged.
You have to notify.
Well, there's no cost involved in that. There's no staff time, building a small staff. time.
Her staff time, yeah.
How much time are we talking about? I mean, I'm just saying, trying to make it easier.
It's our per diem.
Oh, well, I would do it gratis. We're gonna just to get it done.
But that's not the way. Anytime there's an official hearing. And so,
I get it.
yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
Don't be sorry.
This is the way it is.
Be sorry that I'm wrong.
Well, you're not wrong. You're just triggering a different set of circumstances, in a special meeting.
Operationally, it's operating, there's.
Yeah.
Probably, if somebody wants to come by and do an individual tour is way easier and way more flexible than the group tour, just if there's only a couple of people like, oh, that can be accommodated on the seats, and one of us can meet you there for that and then do that. The group one requires more operational stuff anyway, because of public act,
And you're open under construction anyway in the front end,
Right.
correct? I'd say you're under construction in the front end on the.
Correct.
And then I'd like to make a request that one of you, whoever was there before 10 years ago.
Yeah.
If you're going to go again in the meantime, I'd like to coordinate with one so I can go with you.
Well.
Me going myself. I'm looking-
Madam Chair, if I may,
Yeah.
just very quickly, if the decision is to do a group, Steve, I mean.
It won't be.
It won't be.
It won't be.
Okay, just.
Forget I brought it up.
It's not more the case that we would want the county planner there as well, given the
Yes.
history of the project.
Well, he would probably want to be there, but, you know, it's just, it's up to them. That's not our, yeah. So we're gonna do individual?
Well, I'm gone,
Yep,
next week for a month.
okay.
But if you, and these two are going, that's.
That I can't take both of them.
Can you go separate? But that means.
No.
You can, but I have to be
We're gonna
very,
choose
very,
that,
very,
so
yeah.
Take the new guy.
Robert, are you gonna
We're
go?
way into it.
Why don't you and Alan go together?
Okay.
And
And if
we'll
we
we'll
can
figure it
coordinate,
out.
just so we have some feedback.
Or you and Chris and I'll go with Alan, one or two. We'll do it as two. So that we don't have four.
And not to be redundant, what is it we're looking at? as we go there?
Lighting, color, material.
Yep.
Okay, we'll make sure.
Yeah.
Not massing.
And under,
Yeah.
the massing and everything, that's done, but we're looking at how it's going to actually sit in the landscape and what impact the materials, lighting and colors would have.
Okay.
And just a question for the record, because I don't think it was all on the record. Are you conflicted?
Pardon?
I'm sorry, I thought.
No, she had a conflict 10 years ago.
Oh, so are you currently conflicted?
No.
Oh, okay, that, I was confused there, okay. You don't have.
Yeah, that's what Robin had mentioned was that she had in the past had a conflict.
Oh, I didn't hear the whole.
She's speaking.
Okay, thank you.
Now, I've had conflicts with various projects that are in the same area at different times, too, but that was a long time ago.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, okay, that sound good?
Yeah.
All right, Kevin?
I'm still here.
Okay, and I'm sure you've been following this avidly. So we're gonna go, Robin and I and Chris and Alan will all make site visits probably as twos in pairs, and we'll go out there and take a look. Can you coordinate with us so that we can contact the applicant and set those up?
Yes, of course, no problem.
Okay.
One question. So we're gonna do the site visit, and are we coming back for preliminary?
Just, I'll get to that in a second. It won't be an official site visit, we're gonna do individual site visits. So, and then it'll be up to you, how many people and what you have there and how you shuttle us around and all those good things. So, okay, and we can coordinate that outside of here. How do we want to see him come back? Preliminary final? Yeah, I think so. You comfortable with that, Alan?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'll have to rely on what happened 10 years ago, yeah. Based on what we're looking at.
Okay, so, I think we're all, the opinion should return for preliminary, and I think we're definitely ready for it. We would have no problem saying that as long as it's acceptable for the planner to offer you preliminary and final. And my normal caveat doesn't really have much of an impact because a lot of the project is vested. But typically what I tell people is, you know, it's up to you whether you want to go to the final stage and do all the final details and everything, because you can come back to us and we may look at it and say, oh, well, it's ready for preliminary, but there's some detailing and things that could cost you, we have to redo those. But that's the caveat. I'm sure you're willing, more than happy to get done. It's the planner. All right. Okay, so I've done my duty. So that's what we'll do. We'll do those 2 independent visits. And we'll get it done. Okay? Sounds good. All right. Nicole, do you have any questions, or Kevin?
I don't have a ton of comments on this item. I guess I can show them to you guys when we look at the minutes. I just want to make sure we got everyone's comments.
I don't think there are a ton of comments. There was a lot of discussion, but not a lot of comments.
I did say that I would find with the colors and materials.
Yes, so did I. So, and I think that was concurrence. Yeah, like I said, not a lot of comments. Okay. All right, I think we're finished. Thank you, folks. All right, Nicole, go ahead and, Teresa's gonna go ahead and give you the guides, the powers that be, so you can, go ahead and share your screen. I'm gonna stop my share.
And for the majority of it, it's not that many candles in the all candles.
What's that?
That's all from when.
We're gonna go through,
And we were friends with the owner, and we had taken. through-
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Whole family several times.
Absolutely, sorry about that.
So I had financial issues, so I couldn't. But for many years, I just didn't even, because I shouldn't. go on
Guys,
this.
are we doing the minutes now?
We are.
Okay.
Chris just stepped out for a second, so why don't you scroll up a little so we can see the ballot branch?
I didn't see all of that, and I didn't make the motion.
The large are-
I'm not a good person.
I meant down, sorry, so we can see the comments under number 2. There we go.
You guys-
Just hold on a second, Chris will be right back.
You two have never been involved, with it. She recused, I'm not gonna be here, these two are recusing. So it's like Bethany is the only one that was here back in the day and knows.
And, well, I know canvases. My thing still is, I don't know what.
We
I know
finished
what I'm
with
looking at, but I don't know.
the item,
Yeah, I
guys, so.
know.
Yeah, basically, your purview is very limited.
We have postage stamp.
Yeah,
Right, and I don't know if that's, you know, really interested in the program and, again, we have a post report. more distinct way about our purview.
So what is,
Who knows?
We're done.
And again, the head then was very involved.
yes,
He came to all the meetings
yeah,
and anything on the gathering.
right, yeah,
And we had a lot of the public come as well.
yeah, I remember those.
All right, so Chris is back. Okay,
Remember the sound.
okay, so concerned about what future soils testing,
Oh, okay, got it.
how about this, concerned about the impact, hold on a second, can you think of a better way to word that, Chris? A,
First one?
I can hardly see it, so I'm not good.
Well, in reality, that doesn't really matter because if they find,
how about this, suggest that the applicant be aware of the impact of soils testing results on design further in the process.
right,
I wasn't really worried about the grading. Yeah, farther down they put it, the better.
then it's a different design, so they would just come back with a whole new design.
But it was a comment, so it's kind of a heads up comment.
Bethany, what was the rest of what you said?
Suggest that the applicant be aware of the impact of soils testing results
And my point is that
on,
For future,
if the footing goes down 2, 4, 6, 8 feet, that means we're gonna have to do a lot more.
yeah, and it's,
Disturbing the site.
well, grading's not one of our findings.
Yeah.
Which is why Lola was kind of choking a little bit on this.
yeah,
This is more of a heads up,
Got it.
okay? So it's not something that, and we could probably axe it as a comment. If it was okay with you.
You guys do look at landscape and site design of which grading is a part. I mean, if they're cutting the top of
Yes.
a knoll
But
off,
the quantity of grading is not our finding.
it's confusing because the county used to not count removal and
Yeah,
compaction, and now they do.
Now they do, yes.
So even though there could be a lot of yardage moved, but you're just taking it out and putting it back in and recompacting.
It's
So it's not, it counts.
It counts,
because they
But
want to
the
charge
net
you
result,
by the cubic yard. And they didn't used to do that
Right.
because it doesn't, that's not really disturbing more than your footprint.
Right.
5 feet out from the perimeter of the foundation.
But it's necessary.
Nicole, why don't you take it out? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Let's see, I talked about that, what else did we talk about? Anybody else have any other comments?
Yeah.
Number 2,
As a general knowledge, I mean, does everybody push the height limit?
yes, always.
Yeah. To the
Oh,
inch.
You better have
If you get close, yeah,
For what?
18.9.
Yes.
to see.
I had asked about the pool. I think you could say that, that structures may, picking up where you had, structures may, there's a concern that structures may skyline from certain viewpoints.
And we needed to see the bridge line.
Yeah.
That was just.
And a site visit was discussed. But we did not decide. But it's held in abeyance, basically. We haven't requested a site visit at this time, but may in the
But if
future.
we're coming to the preliminary final, I guess we would still have the autonomy to do that, but it seems like we made the determination now, but we didn't.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, she's right. You can't, you're not gonna grant them preliminary review if you then think you need a site visit.
Right. Well, we asked them to come back for preliminary. I'll tell you where I was going with it, Nicole. We talked about a site visit. This is what was going through my head. Because these two projects are right next to each other, and I was thinking that they were more closely tied than just simple ownership. That they'd been split off and they hadn't. But my thought had been originally, since a site visit is required for the winery, that it would be nice if we just looked at the other site at the same time, but we don't need to put that in the minutes.
I think we have to look at them as separate and.
Yeah, and it's separate, so take that.
Separate.
Okay, and any other comments? I had a concern about, I think there should be a comment in there that concur that the south side of the pool should not be taller than 3.5 feet.
What's your thinking on that?
As it grows, it starts to become a wall when looked at from distance, and so you start to get a continuous wall all the way across the site. And that's why I asked about it. And the only thing that this just keeps it at 3.5 feet, which they're gonna do anyway, but it just kind of captures it for the record. And that's the only thing that was my concern, why I asked her, because I wanted to know how much it was.
Plus, we want to know what the materials are on that wall.
And we asked about, basically, I'm just looking forward to seeing what they come back with further materials and anything else, right? Yeah, provide colors and materials.
And original accounts.
Uh-huh. We could just say, yes, and, yep.
I can't suppose.
It does not want you to depict that correctly, does it?
You know, what Chris did say, at least what I wrote down, soil investigation may impact cut, and I think that was a valid,
On plans and elevations.
anyway.
Yeah, it should, it's specifically the elevations was really where it was. I wanted the same, they said, we 3D modeled it, and it doesn't hook up anywhere. I want to say, throw that in for the planner. That's what I wanted to say, but I didn't. Okay. Number 3. That pretty much covers it. You had a comment, Robin, about the clear story.
They were gonna, what she said was, they were going to work with a consultant.
Yeah. Could you add in there that, colors and materials, and include glazing?
And once again, for my own edification, so on these plans, we see these full-grown trees, correct? But in reality, putting in sapling.
Yeah, I can talk to you about that.
Okay.
They're only putting the sample if they decide to do it. With their reporting. So I can-
Yeah, thank you. Was there anything else?
And sometimes you can fire.
What we said to them was story poles on the south edge.
Poles at the south edge and stakes in other locations.
Does it say that?
Yeah. See,
Poles at south edge.
Oh, yeah.
Stakes in other locations.
okay, all right, so 4 was a bust, 5.
On this one, I don't think I really heard what was said about the yurts.
Okay, we'll get to that in a second. Board
Okay.
members will visit the site independently. Would allow, a site visit will provide board members with the current context for materials, colors, and lighting. Anybody have a better way to say that?
No, because that's all we have.
So when he was mentioning that the fire, it has to go. before
Fire's
fire
not our
department.
purview.
So they already signed off on it, correct?
We don't know.
It's a question for the planner.
Good news that I tried fire right there, so.
They would have had to have signed off on the site design, and they'll also have to sign off on all the building permits that are issued. Fire will.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll require lighting for safety.
Fire signs off,
Got it, okay.
fire signs off before and after the construction.
They get too wide.
We can't even move on without
Right.
the beginning here. For B, I said materials and colors, and I think so did Bethany.
Yeah, I think, materials and colors. I would say, currently shown are appropriate and in keeping with the area. And then, in C, it should, or you could make it part of the same comment at the end, another sentence, you could say, but we provide full information on all I say major elements such as yours.
What do you mean? by-
We don't have,
We need colors, full colors and material.
So that has to do with B.
but we don't even
Yeah.
have sale of the years.
We do,
Colors.
colors and material.
Colors and
But the way the woman who was sitting on the left here.
I disagree.
She was saying that's all vested in.
Well,
We have,
yours-
and that they are.
The yurt itself is vested, but the colors and materials of it are
Well, that's
still.
good to know, because I took it as we didn't have anything.
No.
Yours-
That's why I came back and said, no, I want to see what the colors and materials are.
She was an attorney, so of course she's gonna make a comment that's in favor of her client.
The attorneys don't lie.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Let's hear that.
That was a comment about the lighting.
Is that it? Sound good?
That's very
Yep.
good. It went pretty quickly, I think.
Okay,
Considering.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, send
Can
it
you
back.
say that a little faster?
Bye, everybody. Thanks.
Now you did, like, that. Anything else, Nicole?